I've just been reading today's Sunday Gospel. It's fascinating. Jesus asks two questions and I've been trying to answer them. A good way to reflect on the Gospel is often to hear what Jesus says and try to respond to it. Well, I'll remind you today's Gospel. One day when Jesus was praying alone in the presence of his disciples, he put this question to them: "Who do the crowd say I am?" And they answered, "John the Baptist, others say Elijah or one of the ancient prophets come back to life." "But you," he said, "who do you say I am?" Well, who do you say he is? But there are two questions. First, who do people say he is? Think of people in your life. I used to live in England, and I went with a friend of mine. She wanted a gold cross put round her neck. And we went to a jeweller's shop, and a lovely assistant said, "Do you want a plain cross or one with a little man on it?" Who do people say I am? But quite different from that, I heard of a sister who is nursing in Africa. I'm not exactly sure where. It sounds like a leprosarium. Facilities are very bad. And one charity worker visiting her said, "Sister, I couldn't do your job for all the money in the world." And she said, "No, I don't think I could." But for Christ, who do people say he is? Think of them. Now, yourself. Who do you say Jesus is? Who is he for you? And I was thinking of that, and I thought, when I was a little boy, I was in Ilford Broadway, where I was brought up, and there were trucks and buses hurtling past. When I think of it now, it was quite dangerous. But I wasn't afraid. I was holding my mother's hand. Nothing to fear. Sometimes I think of Jesus like my mother. Sometimes, though, I just wonder where he is. "Jesus, where are you?" I go looking, I hear nothing, I see nothing, and you don't come in prayer. Or then other times when I'm working in my office, really absorbed in what I think is jolly important work, the front doorbell goes. And I have to say, "Jesus, I'm coming." Everyone who rings the doorbell to need to speak is Jesus, and I have to remind myself of that. Who is Jesus for yourself? When Jesus came to Golgotha, they nailed him to a tree. They drove great nails through hands and feet and made a Calvary. They crowned him with a crown of thorns. Red were the wounds and deep, for those were crude and cruel days, and human flesh was cheap. When Jesus came to Trinidad, we simply passed him by. We never hurt a hair of his. We simply let him die. For men had grown more tender and would not give him pain. We simply passed him in the street and left him in the rain. Still Jesus cried, "Forgive them, for they know not what they do." And still it rained torrential rain that drenched him through and through. The crowds went home and left the streets with not a soul to see. And Jesus crouched against the wall and wept for you and me. Who do you say I am? Reply to Jesus' question. Amen.